Jamaica calls itself a nation of happy days and vivid nights, but it also has a darker reputation as a notorious hotspot for child sex abuse. We've been to find out if this abuse is embedded in the island's culture and why taboos on reporting are proving so difficult to break.
Jamaica likes to portray itself as a tropical paradise, its sunshine and laid-back atmosphere attracting millions of tourists every year. But behind this idyllic picture, there's a more sinister truth. This is a nation where child sex abuse is endemic.
40% of our children say that forced sex was their first initiation into sexual contact.
Taboos about reporting incest, rape, and the abuse of power by older men have left thousands of young Jamaican girls suffering in silence.
Since the OCR began...
Earlier this year, the government launched an awareness campaign to encourage victims to come forward.
Break the silence. Break the silence. Break the silence.
But some fear that child sex abuse is embedded in Jamaican culture.
Physical abuse, mental...
In the company of a survivor, we've travelled the country to find out why. Writer and advocate Julie Mansfield lives in America, but as a child in Jamaica, she was routinely abused.
My abuse started when I was 8 years old. Didn't know anything about sex, so to be so violently introduced to sex by my mother's brother was quite shocking.
Julie grew up in the rural parish of St. Thomas.
Sadly enough, you know, the numbers that are reported say that St. Thomas is #1 on the list of incest and childhood sexual abuse. So one of the reasons that the abuse is so rampant here is the lack of resources, the lack of jobs, the high poverty rate. You know, there's nothing for people to do.
But as these schoolgirls made clear, the issues aren't always understood here.
So what constitutes sexual abuse?
Maybe the person abusing the children are stressed or they want sexual desires.
All right, you know what that sounds like? Can I tell you what I hear? I hear a justification for why people do what they do.
And reluctance to report is common here.
Hang on 1 second. Why wouldn't you report if you...
I'm kind of informer.
And?
And them are just, I don't know. You know, because in Jamaica, you know, the police system, it's not strong. It don't make you feel protected and things. So when I do that now...
At a community youth meeting later, it was clear that for some, at least, such attitudes are beginning to change.
All right, we want to hear the discussions, you know.
Question. 14-year-old, I want a show of hands who thinks it's abuse, right? A 14-year-old
is in a relationship with a 30-year-old man. 30-year-old? Yes. That are affecting us, that they may...
The problem here, though, is that poverty is driving sexual exploitation of teenage girls.
Just last week I spoke to a gentleman and he says he knows of a young lady in Kingston. If our mother tell her, say, listen, if you catch man, as blunt as that, and if you catch man for her is to bring that money in to support the household with the mother. I believe some of our parents are actually pimping our children.
The Jamaican state does have the laws to protect its young girls, but the system of reporting often fails them.
The little girl's sister comes to me and said that she said, Daddy, on the little girl dress. I said, wow. I said, wow. And then the little girl herself comes to me and confess. The first thing I did was to call the police station in 9 Mile. I was transferred to CDA downtown. I called CDA and made a report. And when I made a report, I was then transferred to OCR. I called OCR, I made a report, I even get a file number to say that whenever I call, I don't have to give my name, I can just tell them this number. Months has passed, weeks has passed, I did nothing.
According to citizens' rights groups, the confused and slow reporting channels are an island-wide problem.
Someone makes a complaint to the CDA, they say, oh, go to the OCR, and then when they go back to the CDA, oh, we've lost your witness statement 6 weeks later. 6 weeks later could have been 6 weeks of daily rape.
The 4 state entities tasked with protecting children often don't work together cohesively.
It's demonstrated that there's been a duplication of efforts at times. There's sometimes been limited coordination between the agencies, and the only thing that slips through the crack when we have limited coordination is children.
Julie often returns to her birthplace in St. Thomas to face her past and gauge hope for the future.
This was my childhood home.
She still recalls the silence surrounding her abuse.
It's that culture of everybody, you know, mind your own business kind of culture. So you tell the walls, really. It's you on the walls.
But state action here against child sex abuse is not apparent.
You're having a Break the Silence campaign, and the #1 parish, we see no posters, we see no sign. Folks don't know that there is a campaign. I think someone living here isn't even on the government's radar. Everything is so centered on the urban core or in Kingston. When you look at places like this, you can see that it needs attention.
All the main government bureaus are based in the capital, and the Child Development Agency has ultimate responsibility for the welfare of sexually abused children.
I've been to the government and quite frankly, not impressed. I'm disillusioned that kids have no faith in the government and what they're doing.
We should really push to do these investigations in a timely manner, because when the person like you spoke about do that report about a neighbor, somebody should be there at the same time, and that's what we want to do. But it can't be done for all the cases. We want to increase the percentage of cases. I guess it's a resource issue as well, you know.
Hopefully, from your mouth to God's ears, these kids will start to talk.
A further concern is that the state fails to take action in a sustained way.
Yeah, you look at all these numbers of kids who are being brutalized, and there's a reaction to it. But then the flare dies, and everything seems to go back to business as usual.
For us, these matters and cases are everyday, daily. I think we need additional resources in terms of the technical support. And it is in terms of psychosocial support, mental health support for the children, because we do know that traumatic events adversely affect the children.
The state offers limited short-term counselling, so on her regular trips back to rural areas, Julie helps fill the gap.
Knowing what you know now, you've been through it, what would you change?
Siobhan was raped at 13, and it still haunts her 8 years later.
I just stopped fighting. Not because I didn't want this. This was my first sexual experience, so this is how I lost my virginity. And I remember it being the most painful experience of my life. I remember it clearly. I remember this person just treating me as if I was garbage, like I was an animal. And he had his time. He had the time of his life.
They say, oh, it's just a little sex. It's just a little sex, get over it. They don't realize the emotional impact it has. You own no responsibility in any of that. None. It's okay.
I was just 5, 6 years old when it happened, but I remember everything. I remember the smell of his everything. Everything. I was saying to my the other day that I remember one time I was sleeping and I can remember something being forced up inside of me. And I just don't know somebody can do that to a child. I just don't understand how them could do that. What's wrong with them? Why them want to hurt a child? Why?
The particular vulnerability of children under 10 is an island-wide concern for the state's protection agencies.
You would have had 4-year-old being admitted for syphilis and gonorrhea. Children, very young toddlers, are now being attacked by predators who think that they want to exploit these children to perform oral sex on them.
Back in St. Thomas, Marsha is currently pursuing a case against a man in his 40s who preyed upon her 6-year-old.
She said to us, he said he wanted to feel up my breast. Then he went like this. This is a Jamaican sign for I want to have sex with you. Then he felt up his private area. So we thought it was really a serious case, and we decided to take it further. So it's currently being investigated. You have to be extremely vigilant, and that is why we were so upset with the caregiver. Because how can a child at 6, it's not a troubled child, it's not a child who is always making up stories. How can a child at 6 report that a man spoke to her inappropriately, and you are saying there are two sides to a story? There can't be any other side.
Abuse is just as prevalent in the capital as in rural areas, despite the greater presence of police and child protection agencies. The Office of the Children's Registry, or OCR, is responsible for registering all of Jamaica's child sex cases. The agency has gathered full data up to 2013, when it received almost 3,500 reports. But this year, the number may be at least 3 times higher.
Our last statistics data that we receive approximately 200 reports per week. With the increase in the number of reporting that we have been getting quite a few weeks, that could surpass such, but the last data that we can verify is that we would have had approximately 200 reports per week.
Even those figures, the agency acknowledges, may not reflect the true scale of the problem.
We might label some parishes to say that they have a high number of sexual abuse cases. The registry cannot speak to that fact because those reports are not being made.
You're looking at a situation where the government is responding at best to underreporting at best. And that's a scary prospect for the children if at best your response will ever only be suboptimal because you don't have the data. Everybody's underreporting or you just don't collect it. That's a very frightening prospect for the children themselves.
When cases are reported, they're referred on to CISOCA, the main Jamaican police agency responsible for investigating sex crimes. Today, a case has come in where a mother claims she has found out a 46-year-old man has been having sex with her daughter.
I want you to be truthful.
Yes.
Truthfulness. Hold on, miss. Hold on, miss.
Last night, the victim was beaten by her mother and then her sister, so she's hesitant to speak today.
I understand the emotions and so on that is building up inside of you, but just try and relax, all right? Please, just try. The most important thing, based on what I was told, is that this man is in custody.
The suspect was picked up by local police following an attack by the victim's mother and the local community.
What did your daughter told you that?
Yeah, I get them say yes, them sex,
Okay. I want you to tell me what happened.
Just talk to him and tell him what is happening. Everything done gone bad already. And then done the way for them. So just tell them what happened. Say more come out to come molest nobody else child.
Obviously she is not a talker, you know? So it is going to take some time.
While Detective Bowen urges the victim to talk, her mother gives us her account.
I beat up the man this morning and I mash him up wicked. I beat him up. Hurt me. This big man is a big man, is molesting her, having sex with her. He's 46 years old. I'm her father and her mother. Everything.
How many children?
7 of them. 5 girls and 2 boys.
Meanwhile, Detective Bowen has some further thoughts on the case.
It seems as if she was just following friends. It seems as if her other 2 friends, which we will be pursuing to interview, it seems as if they are the one who are more, should I say, sexually active in a sense. And she's just the little one that they are trying, as what we would say in Jamaica, a try to break out.
Another disturbing element appears to have come to light.
It seems as if this man also give them gifts, monetary gifts, you know, maybe food, who to tell. I don't reach that part as yet, but based on what she had said to me earlier, it seems as if he gives them gifts. And, you know, that draw them to him.
For today, the questions are over and the victim can go home. The charges will be sexual intercourse with persons under 16 and sexual grooming. Rochelle is from inner-city Kingston. She's also been through the system at Sizoka, as she gave birth at 14 and the father was 26. The law clearly states that sex with a minor under the age of 16 is illegal and carries harsh penalties.
This is my sister, and he's my nephew.
Rochelle's sister and her mum were also under 16 when they got pregnant.
I'm pregnant when I have 15, I have my first baby at 16.
In Jamaica, many young girls who've been sexually abused don't identify themselves as victims.
How old were you when you had your first boyfriend, Rochelle?
I was 12 years old. Didn't want to have sex so early. When I was first have sex, I was still in primary school, still in 6th grade at the time.
In Kingston's tight-knit communities, people rarely report to the police or even tell parents that older men are having sex with their daughters. Local resident Corey and his friend, who does not want his identity revealed, say people are cautious of reprisals for being thought to be police informers.
But you gotta be careful because you don't want to start a conflict between you and them.
And the parents.
You will try to be a good Samaritan, and then you end up being the villain. Just to try telling them, say, it's not right, they're not ready. Then words go come to you, get you agitated.
And
so
get you involved in it.
You understand?
Because
the
of what you
parents
said.
come, they tell the parents a story. The parents start coming to you peacefully and ask what went down and what
just
went
come.
They just come.
Leave my pitney alone.
Explain, so it end up in a war. Somebody probably died, run away, dead. She feel it's okay.
We have a community that says they knew. You have a law that says you have a duty to report. Let's make the law fair, not the reprisals.
It's usual in Jamaica for men to financially support their girlfriends. So for some men, a young girl is a cheaper prospect than a woman of their own age.
Some man might have it that way, say cheap, because in the mosque, you look a girl, $5,000, you can get her $500. So to inner female brains, him probably have things say, yeah, it's cheaper, you know? But we think it's wrong, you know? Excuse my words, but we think it's wrong.
Rochelle is no longer sleeping with her baby's father, but they are still in contact.
How come they never prosecute your boyfriend, baby daddy? They never did.
No, they never did.
Did you tell them who he was?
Yes, I do.
Are you pleased they didn't?
Say, yeah, because the thing that's traveling up and down to and from our court would be stressing because we have to stand up in front of a lot of people to talk. And
Jamaica's child advocate has a state mandate to protect the rights of all children, but she awaits a live link system that would make speaking in court less intimidating for minors.
We still do it the old-fashioned way, where the child goes into the witness box and the prisoner is in the dock in the same courtroom and the child has to give that testimony.
And what's the youngest age?
Well, speaking from personal experience, I certainly have prosecuted a sexual offence matter in which my complainant was 4 years old.
And even when perpetrators are brought to court, warped perceptions can prevent convictions.
The jurors will tell you after the case that they believe you. They believe the child that, yes, the man had sexual intercourse with her repeatedly. They understand that it's wrong, but there are two things that bother them. One, he didn't kill her, so that's great. And secondly, she perhaps invited it.
It's not just the judicial system and ignorance that fail young girls in Jamaica, but also the harsh economic climate.
Unemployment scene definitely is a limiting of the options, particularly for girls, right, for females, right? They have it worse than the boys, undoubtedly, right? So their choices, therefore, are restricted, you will get some of the young girls getting into prostitution for very low sums of money.
Horace Levy is widely respected in the toughest areas of Kingston, where mistrust of the state compounds child sex abuse.
One of our problems here in Jamaica, this not wanting to inform, not wanting to tell, because in fact, in many ways, the police and the state are the enemy.
Though rather than officially report child sex abuse, communities often prefer to take matters into their own hands.
Should somebody else inform on this person?
Better you don't tell the police.
So you should tell the police, or tell you.
We, and she tell us that she never give you, you're going to broke you, you're going to shot you. You see? But if you tell the police, the man can run and hide. Only for time I say that happen.
What, they tell the police and what?
The man can hide. When the man do them things, they still to my little sister. They hold him, pick out him eyelash, pick out him toenail, cut out him tongue.
Boy, you're a tough
peel
man,
out the
you
skin
are.
and fine.
You're a tough man.
Yeah, because madness that.
But some Jamaicans believe it is really the parents who are failing their children.
You have to have a bond with your children. That means when your children getting molested, them know to come to parents and tell parents. But if you don't have a bond with your child, when nothing reaching your child not going to come to you because all the while you're not going to tell them so them is telling and shoot and them something there. So you have to have a bond with your child for your child can come to you and tell you any little thing.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. All right. And Carrie Ann, I have to give you a hug.
Back in St. Thomas, Julie's helping a 16-year-old to find the courage to tell her mum a disturbing secret. We've disguised her voice to protect her identity.
And what does he do with your panty when you give it to him?
In his mouth.
Oh, dear God.
She's being sexually harassed by her mum's live-in boyfriend.
Said to me that I should give him my penny. I know that it was not me saying, you need it. So I was saying, no, I cannot do that. And he said, it's like trying to force me to do it. And everything, saying that I know that he always picks up for me with everything with my mom, so I should do it. And I was there sitting there and I wanted to cry, and he just forced me to give it to him.
You don't think you can tell your mom?
No, I don't think so. It's kind of fear of breaking up our relationship.
Why haven't you told, let's say, your guidance counselor or call the CDA number or something like that?
Because I'm just here and I just wanted to go away, like, silently. I couldn't take the drama that would come with reporting.
So let me ask you, the fear of the drama is greater than you having to play cat and mouse to protect yourself from a predator?
Yeah, I'm free from my family.
Sadly, poverty and cultural attitudes do leave Jamaica's young girls vulnerable. But ultimately, men are taking advantage of this.
These men prey on young girls because it's a power thing, it's a power dynamic, it's a power relationship. I can control you. That plus the entitlement, plus how we view women and kids in this country. We're less than, we're not equal, we're not, we're property. And what do you do with your property? You do what you want with your property.
And it's not just the responsibility of government.
It seems that the government's campaign may only be paying lip service.
Break the Silence campaign is a good initiative. It's a good PR move. It sounds good. Break the silence. How do I break the silence? What are the resources that are there after I've broken the silence? What happens to a predator after I've broken the silence? How am I protected from retribution?
Your community.
Maybe my generation is lost and we just have to give up on that and start with adolescents and teens going up now.